It's now 10:30 p.m. Exactly 10:30 p.m. Please let's sit down so we can start over. I mean, start again and finish with this.
Scott Sanford and Son on their
That's Alex.
not that. That's awesome. Can you hear that?
Let's please sit down and
It's the Sanford.
get this thing over with. What we're going to do is we're going to start with Article 1 and go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and each person will present their amendments per article. Okay? So let's start with Article 1. I don't believe I have. Where's. I'm missing a page, guys. Okay. Let's start with Article 1. We want to go by.
Okay, wait,
Okay. Go ahead, Miss Councilwoman.
okay, on Article One, with the planning, I have, a couple changes, that we want to leave in the members of the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustment be residents. They struck, it was in the original, right, they struck it out, that should go back in. And also, any member who ceases to reside within the city, they struck that out, I think you should leave that in, and leave the rest, then I have, oh.
That's
That's
an
in
Article
two.
2. That's an Article
I'm so
2.
sorry, excuse me. Nothing in Article One, excuse me.
Article 1 coming once. Article 1 coming twice. Ms. Councilwoman doesn't have any amendments to Article 1. Vice Mayor, do you have any amendments to Article 1?
I didn't make my notes. I apologize. I didn't make my notes on a article by article situation. I just wrote down my notes, so I don't know which one of these articles they match with.
If
So-
they can brief us again, article by article.
I have several questions I'll hope to get answered, and I'm going to do my best. I spent the 5-minute recess looking over the new mayor's document. Now that I know that we're going to go article by article, I'm trying to quickly match up my questions with the article so that I can make sure I ask them in the right order.
Councilman, would you like to borrow my hard copy? I have an extra. I read one with each eyeball.
There you go. Thank you.
Councilman Desulme?
Article 1, no, I have nothing.
Nothing on.
All right, we'll go back to Councilwoman. Article 2.
Well, no.
No?
So you should vote on Article
Okay.
Motion to approve Article One.
Okay.
Second,
Thank you.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys to approve Article 1. The motion was seconded by Councilman Dezume. All in favor?
All right.
All
Now,
opposed?
is it roll call or?
No.
No? Not roll call?
The total gonna be.
Wait.
With, no, no. We're still doing it by majority for now.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
All you're doing is
Article 1's approved with a 5-0 vote. Right, it's just the last part, right? Okay,
Mr. Vice Mayor, if I may, Mr. Vice Mayor had a question that he was trying to match up the Planning Commission recommendations. If you'll look all the way to the left, all those articles match up, so you'll know what article they're in.
Yes, that I'm familiar with. It's
Yes, sir.
my own questions that I had that I didn't write down corresponding article numbers with. So now I'm
Or section numbers, either?
correct. I just wrote down my questions, and now I'm going to try to go back real quick and match them up so I can do this in the order we've now decided we're going to.
All right, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Article 2, Councilwoman.
Okay, a simple one that I spoke with staff was to, not have the, planning commission, delete C of section 2-201, which had to do with, capital projects, the budget and economic portion of it. They would still be reviewing the progress and the growth of the city, but C It was more of an economic thing that might not need to go to planning commission. That's not major. I think something going forward, what I think watching the planning commission, which I did, I wasn't there personally, we want to leave in the language on membership of the planning commission 2-202, that number 2, that each member shall be a resident. It was stricken. We should put that back in. And they also struck that any member who ceases to reside within the city limits, gives up their term. We should keep that also. So I would like that language added back in. And one other small item was the quorum. I would like that changed to 5 on both the planning commission and the board of adjustment. They have it at 4, and if you have it at 4, then you don't get a majority vote. So
Now, again,
that's
to-
2-203B, quorum. 7 members is a quorum, but, 7 members of the planning commission with a 4-member quorum, which doesn't give you an odd number for voting.
Wow.
So there's 3 different items for planning commission, and the same would mirror the board of adjustment.
It's 3.
And basically, that was one of the recommendations of the planning commission.
Are on page 3, 2 at the top of the page, to reinstate the language, each member shall be a resident of the city, and down further, any member who ceases to reside within the city limits, you wish to keep that. Going on down that page, section 2-203, change the from 4 to 5 to make that a quorum. Your next change is
Let
on.
me add something, if
yes,
the
ma'am.
council would allow. I spoke with staff, and rather than just limit it to a resident, it could be a resident, a property owner, or a licensed business owner in the city.
for the sake of a order also, are we gonna vote for them, like each article, we're gonna vote by section and division, there is article, then you have division, then you have sections. Because each of them,
Councilwoman Keys just came up with 3 recommendations. I think you should take each of the recommendations.
Yeah, we should
and-
vote on
and
each of
vote
them.
Vote each of them.
okay, the
So
first
you should
one
make a
being,
motion on each, second, if there's a second, then you can vote. If there's no second, then it would fail.
what is the first one,
So the first
Mr.
one would
Mr.
be
Clerk?
delete 2-201 C
Hold on, madam.
on page 2, top of page 2.
2-201, that's powers and duties?
Yes,
to-
I got
to
it.
eliminate 2-201 C, which has to do really with the economic growth.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Discussion, second for discussion.
Yeah.
Talking Article 2, right?
This is Article 2. Under
On
Article,
page 2.
yeah, under Article 2, Section 2-1, dash 201,
Letter C.
letter C, no, that's not my concern. I think my
No,
concern is.
that's, we
is
still on,
within-
on.
Okay, so
we're
can
still
I
on,
discuss my concern within this article, because it's a little bit different from council.
No, we have to
woman.
vote on hers first.
Okay.
There is a motion and there
Perfect.
was a second.
Got it.
Okay, so now I have a motion to approve Councilwoman Key's amendments to Article 2. And though that motion was seconded by Vice Mayor
Or
Galvin.
singular amendment.
Amendment.
The
Yeah.
amendment stated to eliminate section
I thought
C.
you had 3 amendments.
No,
We're
we're
going
voting
one by
on
one.
section one by one.
Okay,
We're gonna be here for hours, guys. Yeah, there's no getting out of this one easy.
there's no way. So now she got to read the she got to meet. Okay, now we need to have a good record. So that means you have to read that one amendment we're voting on the record, and then we'll get the vote, and then we'll move on to your second amendment and your third amendment. Okay. So that was the may you please read your amendment on the record, please, that we're voting on?
The amendment is to delete paragraph C of Division 2, Section 2-201.
I have a motion made by Keys for that to approve that amendment. That motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in
Can
favor?
you read that portion that's being asked to be deleted?
It has to do, it really
No,
has.
no, the clerk.
I don't even have that. I've just got to go off the record of what she says.
You don't have it?
No, I don't. I wouldn't have that. That's what I'm saying. I don't have the
It's,
doc.
it's in the package.
Do you get a binder?
You don't have a
I did
binder?
not get a binder. I'm not important, guys. You guys are, okay, but that's fine. If she can read whatever she's doing on the record, because it's going to make sure it keeps a clear
You want
record.
me to
May
read
it be
this?
clear, are you asking to read the section that's being deleted?
Yes, so that the public can, I mean, you can't just, go over things
I'll
without
read
the
it.
public knowing what we're
I'll
voting on.
read it, Mayor, I'll read
Yeah.
it. You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Continu-
She'll read it.
Continually plan for the progress and growth of the city with respect to capital projects and local improvements, as these terms are defined in sections 58 and 111 of the city charter. Assist the city manager and the director of community planning and development department in preparing the capital improvements portion of the annual budget as contemplated in section 46 of the charter, and from time to time recommend to the city council such legislation as may be deemed appropriate to carry out such plans as the commission may decide.
That's the planning commission, okay? So there was
It's more of an
there was
economic.
a motion and seconded by Vice Mayor.
Yes, Mayor, that's correct. So all, I'm sorry, motion taken made. All approve?
Aye.
All oppose?
No,
Okay, that particular item, Councilwoman Keys' one amendment was approved with a 4-1 vote. I gotta write down mayor votes no. Okay, so I guess we're on to the second item you wanna amend?
Second item, that will be to amend section 2-202A2 to read that each member shall be a resident, comma, property owner or licensed business owner of the city. And also to bring back the language, any member who ceases to reside, sell property, or close their business within the city limits during the term of office shall be deemed to have resigned as of the date of moving from the city. I had to add language because I suggested adding business owner and property owner. So this, the effect of this is to allow residents and property owners, and business owners to serve on the board. That's how the board is consisted of, because we eliminated the residency requirement.
So that was a motion made by Councilwoman Keys for her second amendment. Do I have a second to
Which is-
approve her
which
amendment?
is
As she just
what-
read on the record. As she just read on the record.
I have a question by our attorney, so I would like to.
So,
Member
excuse me,
Secretary,
I'd like
so-
to assist in the drafting of some
Thank you.
language. So the the first sentence in the second paragraph, any member who ceases to reside, should be something like ceases to reside, remain a property owner, or own a licensed business.
Okay,
Not that they sell, but because they could be selling more than one property.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Do you, Mr. Clerk, do you want our attorney to rephrase that for us, everybody to hear again?
Yeah, that's important because whatever you read from here and whatever the attorney read, that's what the record's gonna reflect.
Okay, so
Okay.
the last part of the amendment with regard to ceasing to, please read that, Mr. Hill.
So any member who ceases to reside within the city limits, own property within the city limits, or own a licensed business within the city limits shall be deemed to have resigned as of the date of moving from the city. In addition, there is some underlined language in the first paragraph that should be removed, which relates to choosing persons with experience from various substantive areas.
Want to leave that.
Oh, you do
as
want to
is.
leave that?
Yes.
Okay.
You
Just a
got
quick-
it.
So, if I can suggest, in the second sentence, members shall also be chosen, or also be required to be chosen from, to make clear that both of those criteria, both residency, property owner, licensed business applies, but in addition, they are,
We'll make those
That's
changes.
already
We
in there.
understand what she's
Right.
making the change, so we'll make the
just
change
wanna-
and bring
what
it
it's
I'm
back.
not
doing-
that some members are satisfying one
We'll-
criteria and other
No, I'm
members are
just putting
satisfying
in,
other
I'm
criteria.
just putting back the residence
fix that.
requirement that was taken out
Right.
in two places. I'm just putting that back in, but allowing a
For-
business owner or property owner. Yes.
You guys make the changes that you request. We'll understand. If we have questions, we'll ask you the questions that we
thank you.
need, but we'll bring you back the document. We'll modify it for the next meeting. So just go ahead.
Go ahead, okay.
Okay, so now this is what just happened. You read something, he read something, so now I need your clarification from what you read so that when we go back and look at these minutes, we know exactly what we're voting on now. So what exactly are you voting on? What's your amendment, Councilwoman?
What do you want it to read as?
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
You guys did it, right?
Well, the first part is that each member shall be a resident, property owner, or licensed business owner. And then
Of the city, right.
of the city, and you can read what else we want to put back in for that last paragraph, Mr. Held, that I
We got it.
unstruck.
Right.
We got it right, he doesn't have to read it? Okay, so good, so I have a motion, the attorney said he got it, he's gonna
Got
make
it.
the changes. So we have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys, as stated on the record, to amend this portion of the article. Do I have a second?
The second that I wanna second it with a friendly amendment. A resident or a property owner or a qualified, yeah. That's when it can be either or. It can, yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
that's not what it is. You say resident, homeowner, no, if you say
No,
or,
it's or.
Yeah,
It's
or.
or.
oh, it's already or, okay.
We're not
It's
saying
or.
you have to be all three. It's all.
You gotta be a resident or a property owner, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Or what's the or?
Resident, property owner, or business owner.
So, what if the person not qualified, if we don't have that in the city?
But you're gonna,
No, I'm saying, what if we don't have folks who meet that requirement, the experience component, then what do we do? Because I think that was part of
You
the
you
issue.
also in the article you also have the ability to select someone else that does not have it.
yeah.
Okay, I'm lost.
Before residence was removed completely,
Okay.
now we add residence.
Oh, okay.
or
Oh,
whatever,
okay.
yeah.
So residence is on there, but you experience is also as a criteria.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys to approve, to make the amendments as stated on the record by Councilwoman Keys. The motion was seconded by Councilman Bieneme, and that's on your particular amendment. All in
Choose.
favor?
Either or.
Aye.
Okay.
All opposed?
Nay.
No.
I'm gonna have to do that again. Councilman,
Residence.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
I need your vote,
Can I
Councilman
have a
Bieneme.
clarification on, can I have another clarification? Because
Might as well do them by
she
roll
make a
call.
proposal,
That's what I was-
and I didn't hear
Oh.
the mayor's concern and Alex Desenma's concern about that. Can we hear that before?
Huh?
What is-
The chief is
No,
saying.
can I understand? Because,
Absolutely.
because before it
The way-
was, okay, go ahead.
No, I don't have when I was briefed, I didn't have any issues with the way it was briefed. I did not.
How it was before.
No, the way it is presented right now, I don't have
How it
any
is.
issue right now.
How it
Well,
is
it's
presented.
based on you will get folks who are qualified to serve on the commission versus where you have all the back and forth of folks who really doesn't have the experience to be serving, on the commission.
But at the
et
same
cetera.
time, we gotta give the residents an opportunity to be sitting on the board.
There is nothing in
There's
this clause that
nothing.
says a resident cannot be.
That's what I want.
Of course, residents can be members.
But it need to be.
In nice reading, shall be a resident. Shall be means they have to be.
You edit back.
Huh? Shall be, yeah.
I mean,
I
I
want
watched
to add residents.
Okay, then it did.
Yeah. Resident all.
I'm sorry, Mr. Yes, you may
Yes,
speak.
is there a question about if a resident does not satisfy the experience criteria, whether he can still be appointed? Is that the,
I will make that determination.
is that your, no? No.
No, you have to be a resident and meet the criteria. Yeah, of course you have to meet the criteria.
Right,
We
there is
called
language,
question.
there
You
is
can't
language
just
in
take
here, though.
any Joe Blow in and put a planning commission and then let them make
No,
make
Mr.
decision
Mayor.
for us. I mean, you can't
I
do
understand
that.
that, Mayor.
We have to be responsible.
We need to understand, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
The city is
Yeah.
91 years old. It been operate with the support of the residents. We cannot ignore the resident. We can add
Nobody's
all
saying
the other
that.
language.
Nobody.
But
The commission can be all residents.
Yeah, we like.
It can be all residents. Residents that are engineers, that are experts in planning, that have experience, in urban planning, that are architects, that have an idea of urban planning.
how you
Residents
gonna determine that?
Their qualifications.
with their qualifications, with their CVs.
Mr.
That's when
Mayor,
you're gonna need a resume.
Yeah, with their CVs, yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
Huh?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I redo it, would it make you happier if, because what I had originally talked about was to allow at least two non-residents, two of the board could be non-residents. That,
With no qualification.
no, with a qualification.
Okay.
Okay, then,
I will withdraw my second to this so that it can either be more clearly restated or phrased another way. I withdraw my second.
so
I-
wait,
Councilman, you didn't second this one. This
I
one,
did.
believe it or not, was
Oh.
seconded by Councilman Bieneme. You
Okay.
seconded the first amendment.
You're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right. I apologize.
So we're really waiting on Councilman Bieneme's vote because we do have a 2-2 vote. It's gonna pass or fail. Your particular amendment that you just read on the record is gonna pass or fail depending on
Yeah,
what.
but we just voted.
that's fine.
We didn't get the vote. We're waiting on his vote. He
Mr.
started
Here's what we've
asking
done now.
questions.
There was a motion made and seconded, and
We
in the
voted.
midst of the vote, we allowed continued
Discussion.
debate and discussion that has now, in my mind,
Yes.
invalidated the motion on the table because it's now been restated in so many different ways. Again, I can't good faith cast a vote that I don't even know what I'm voting on
Well,
anymore.
since Councilman Bien-Aimé didn't vote.
He's got to vote by
Huh?
resolution. You guys pass a resolution.
2-2, and it fails.
No, you can't. They got a resolution. So how do you, are we gonna nullify the motion? Do you want to withdraw your second, Councilman Bieneme, or do you want to vote?
We can further discuss it.
So are you voting yes or no on her amendment?
Didn't vote yes.
Okay, so he voted yes. I got to vote. So the amendment that was read on the record by Councilwoman Keys,
That each member shall
No.
be a resident.
as read on the record by Councilwoman Keys, and then we had a motion made by Councilwoman Keys and a second by Councilman Bieneme. That was just approved with a
That's not
3-2
what you
vote.
understood. That's not what
That
you
was her
understood.
amendment.
As
That's what
somebody
I'm
who
saying.
voted with the majority that succeeded, I would like to call to re-vote on the matter, rescind, however it's.
Okay, so let's-
We're good. This is why.
Yeah. So you want me to do a roll call on that motion?
I'm making a motion to rescind the previous vote as, and attorneys, you're all, somebody to make sure I'm phrasing it the right way, because we're hanging up on language. As a person who
It's a
voted in the
motion for
majority.
reconsideration.
Thank you. Reconsideration was the word I wasn't coming up with. Thank you. A motion to reconsider the amendment that we just passed.
Okay, so let me write this down. Vote was
That'll need a
3-2.
second as well.
Hold on. Motion. Wait. Motion. 1 second. Motion. Keys. Bieneme. Second. Motion. Keys. Bieneme. Okay. So now, Councilwoman Keys' particular motion that was just approved. We have a motion on that motion that was approved
To reconsider.
to reconsider by Councilman
Galvin.
Scott Galvin. Motion to reconsider previous vote by Council Vice Mayor Galvin. Motion, okay, and that motion was seconded by Councilman Bieneme. And again, this is a motion to reconsider. Where my city attorney isn't.
I'll just clearly state on the record my reason. My reason for asking for the reconsideration is that I feel the language between when it was made by Councilwoman Keys and then finally voted on got to be too confused in my mind. So I would like to just simply reconsider, and we might propose different language.
Okay. So
So the motion is now open for discussion and deliberation.
No, I'll second the vice mayor's.
it was already seconded
Oh,
by
it was
The
already
motion is now
seconded.
open for discussion and deliberation in regards to reconsideration of the previous vote.
So discussion, you guys can discuss. If not, you guys can call the vote.
To reconsider the.
Right. To reconsider the vote that was just approved.
I thought you wanted to, I thought we reconsidered the
So
whole
you want me to
motion.
vote? Call the vote?
So once we reconsider it, then we'll.
It's dead.
Yeah,
It's dead.
we will come back with it.
The act of reconsidering, and I'll make sure the attorneys make sure I state this correctly, the act of reconsidering essentially nullifies the vote we just took. And then we would be able to. Right, but I'm just clarifying what it means to reconsider. By reconsidering, if this passes, the vote we just took will be nullified, and then
Yeah.
we would have to propose separately.
motion.
Yes, a new motion.
Yeah.
New motion.
Yes.
Okay, so just to be clear, I'm just gonna do roll call. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Vice Mayor Keys, how do you vote on the motion to reconsider your previous vote?
Yes.
We have two vice mayors.
That's okay.
Vice,
Just go with it.
Vice Mayor Galvin, how do you vote on the
Yes.
motion?
Yes.
Mayor Joseph,
Yes.
Councilman Desiree,
Yes.
Councilman Bieneme.
Yes.
Okay, motion to reconsider has been approved with a 5-0 vote. Thus, the previous item is nullified. Okay, I'm ready on for the next one.
Councilwoman Keys still has the floor for section 2.
Thank you. I would like to amend section 2-203B to change the quorum from 4 members to 5 members.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys to make the amendments as stated on the record. Do I have a second?
What is the amendment?
To change a requirement for a quorum to 5 members, that way you have an odd number of people voting.
5 out of 7?
Yeah, instead
But
of 4.
But it's 5. What about the alternate?
No,
It's
present.
5 members
Present.
plus the 2
The
alternates.
quorum.
Cool.
Yeah,
Oh, to have a quorum.
got to be 4
I'll second that.
to be 5.
Yeah.
I have a second made by by Mayor Smith Joseph. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 5-0 vote.
In section 2, I guess the same thing on 2-303, the quorum from 4 to 5.
But Councilwoman, let me just ask you a quick question. You're changing it because you're concerning about the odd and even number, correct?
And that's not, and that doesn't,
Yeah, reflect that, okay.
Which is the next section again? 2 or 3.
so if you have 6,
No,
you still have a
she
problem.
just made the same motion for the 2-303.
Thank you.
It's the same. It's the very same motion as you just did,
Okay.
just a different section. So
Okay.
Got it.
So I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys, and we're going to call this motion number 5, made by Councilwoman Keys, to as stated on the record, to make the amendments as stated on the record. Do I have a second to Councilwoman Keys' motion?
I'll second that.
Okay. I have a second made by Mayor Smith Joseph. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote. And that's amendment number 5 from Keys. Okay.
Any more motion, Councilwoman?
No, I'm done with Article 2, thank you.
You done with Article 2? Vice Mayor?
I'm quickly looking for bioswales and parking garages. If you can tell me where bioswales and parking garages are. If they're not in 2, they're both in 5.
Article 5.
Yeah.
All right, no questions on 2.
Okay, Councilman Desulme?
Yes, the one concern I had was the Downtown Action Plan Advisory Committee, but that been resolved. And the other one, did your second motion, how does that work? Because I'm a little confused also regarding the residency. Was that settled or that just died? How does that work? Okay, okay, never mind. Perfect, thank you.
So you can bring it back.
It could be, yeah. it
We're
could be
gonna
brought
bring it
so
back.
let's bring it back.
The article died, but we always can bring it back.
I don't want to do that.
We haven't voted.
I don't want to do that. That's fine.
Can I make a motion in article, in that same,
Article 2?
the article, that same article, section 2-202,
202? Okay.
number 2, where it talks about membership, the same article that, A2. That each member, does that preclude anyone from previously elected position from any local? No, it doesn't have to be local, from any municipality from being part of this commission? As it reads now? Yeah, I think anyone who has experience, as an elected official, deals with planning and so forth, that should be included in the criteria. Well, not included in the criteria, could become a member. I don't know how you phrase that. So, I said it right? Okay.
So right now, it does not hold any office. So he wants to include that.
If I can restate the mayor's request, I
Mhm.
believe what you said is, in addition to the other experience, to add former elected officials from a municipality or a local government
Yes.
as an experience criteria.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much.
So I have a motion made by Mayor Smith Joseph. Do I have a as stated on the record? Do I have a second?
Second for discussion.
I have a second made by Councilman Desiree.
Thank you very much.
Quick question. Wouldn't we have to deal with the first issue before we could deal with that particular amendment, Mr. Attorney?
What's the first issue, sir?
Regards to residency? No?
No, that person would have to be either a resident. Isn't that what you said?
No.
Yeah, that person would have to be either a resident and a local business owner.
No, he died.
No, he died.
No?
Admitted that.
That's what I'm saying. That one died.
Someone have to come with it again.
Okay.
All you,
You can come
all
with
you're
it.
adding is, in addition to areas of planning, law, environmental science, development industry, real estate development, engineering, architecture, and other related local industries, you're adding experience as a local government official,
Okay.
Okay, that's
All right,
fine.
fine.
elected official. Sorry.
And residents.
He did not proffer residency.
But as it is now, residents can be part of the. It didn't say that residents cannot be.
Right.
They can be.
They can be, of course. As a matter of fact, if you can get all of the members from the city who qualify, that would be the most plausible thing to do. Yes.
The attorney has a question.
The proposed draft that has been circulated removes the residency requirement. If you want to put it back in,
Gary, what the mayor is trying to say is simply, allow me, please, if you would, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, please.
What the mayor is saying, the fact that the shall be a
Yes.
resident is redacted does not disqualify
A resident.
residents.
Yes. that
Because
makes sense.
further on in the same paragraph, it says the council can appoint residents
Who
who
do
fit
not-
any of these
Qualifications.
et cetera.
Yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
what the language allowing us to appoint residents is still there. It's that the language that said shall. That's
Yes.
restricted. So
Okay.
we could appoint the former mayor of Aventura
Okay.
to this board if we chose. He doesn't have to be a resident of the city of North Miami
I-
at that moment.
Thank you very much.
That I'm with. Okay.
So we need to hear the motion, because a lot was said in between. So read the motion
The-
on the record, please.
I will restate, if you will allow me, Mr.
Yes,
Mayor.
please, go ahead.
The only amendment the mayor is requesting is to add to the criteria, members shall be chosen from persons with experience in the areas of, continued, is to add to that sentence, previous elected officials from local governments or municipalities.
With experience, he said.
That is the experience.
That is the
requirement.
experience.
Elected official.
Yes.
So I have a motion. I had a motion to approve that motion by Mayor Smith Joseph, as read on the record, and that motion was seconded by Councilman Desiree. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That item was approved with a 5-0 vote.
Alex,
We're still on
I'm done.
Article 2.
I'm done with
Article
mine.
2.
Yes.
I'm done with Article
Welcome
2.
to the, no, the, it's me.
We're still in Article 2.
Okay, Article 2, the Board of Adjustment, Division 3.
Where?
Same,
Article 4.
Appeal or adjustment? Let's see.
did you comment the same thing? Did staff will comment the same qualification? The Board of Adjustment,
I'm sorry, you in what section?
Division 3,
Division 3.
Board of Adjustment.
Oh, I see what you're saying. If through the mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
if you allow me, Councilman
Okay.
Bieneme, I believe what you're saying is to add whatever change we just made to Planning Commission to the same provision, or the similar provision, listed as,
Did you propose that
section
we keep
2.
it the way it was before, in your recommendation now?
Yeah,
Since-
the recommendation was stricken the same way the other one was, so if you want us to add previous elected to that, which is the only amendment you just approved.
Yes,
Yeah,
Is that what you're asking?
yeah.
I second that.
What section is that?
That's
Section 2.
It's Article
Division
2,
3.
out,
Oh,
Division 3, Article 2, Division 3, Section 2-302A, number 2.
What's the motion?
The motion is to add previously elected officials from local governments and municipalities to the experience requirement.
I have a motion made by Councilman Bieneme. That motion is what was just read on the record by City Manager Larry Spring, and that motion was seconded by
I mean,
Smith Joseph, Mayor Joseph. All in favor?
aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote. Any
Okay.
more amendments to Article 2?
We're still on Article 2.
The Downtown Action Plan Advisory Committee, you said should.
That's on page 7.
Yes. Page 6.
Actually, it starts on 6.
If
Okay,
I,
now-
if I may,
Yeah,
that,
what did
you,
you
are- you
comment
already
for?
adopted that. That's an already adopted ordinance for the day pack. We just moved it into the document.
You just what?
We moved it into the document, but you had already voted on it prior. This is already adopted. It's just now in the, it's now
Oh, you
in
just
the
added.
document. I'm sorry, sir?
You just added to the.
We just added it. You all had previously adopted it. We put it now into your document.
Okay.
quick question. Is the design, what's the committee called? The design,
Design Review Board?
the design review board, that's not part of this, correct?
As
Uh,
far
no.
as the
Section
downtown
2.
advisory committee,
No,
it's a
I'm
sep-
saying, the design review,
It was a separate handout.
it's a okay. Because, would that be under this section? Or that's totally different from? It's Article 3?
Is it, no, it's not. It's Article
Article
2,
2,
Division 7,
Division 7, the development, oh, okay, that's the word, the
Development
development, okay,
Review
that's why
Committee.
I was looking for design. My only recommendation there,
Why you jump there?
I'm sorry.
I thought we were
We're
still.
on page 10. We're on the same.
You went from 7 to
haven't
10?
finished
He has, he's not
was done.
doing it.
Okay, go ahead.
Another question for the DAPAC.
Hmm?
And the quorum should be 2/3. How many members are?
It says 15 members shall be composed of 15 members.
Okay, that's mean
Is that a lot of members?
2/3, 10. The quorum got to be 10.
Do we need 15?
The DAPAC,
Doesn't hurt.
yeah.
Hmm?
But you say 15 members can.
excuse me, sorry, Councilman. It says quorum is required vote 2/3 majority of the current membership.
Do you think that's going to be easy out of 15? Why do we need 15?
But it also means that if there's, say, 11 or 9, it would still be 2/3 of that
Yeah.
11
Yeah.
or 9. So it's whatever it can be up to 15 members, but if there's less,
It's 2/3
it's
of
still 2/3 of
whatever
whatever
the
is
number
less.
is.
So if
Okay.
it's 3 people, then it's 2 of those 3.
No, it says shall be composed of 15.
Right.
It didn't say minimum 15.
Well, okay, so then that's a great question. What
Yeah.
happens if we can't get 15 and now you've got 11? Do you disband the board at the next meeting?
Yeah. 15 is that's a lot of people, guys. To get a quorum, it's going to be hard to get a
Change the
quorum.
language to be maximum of 15?
Yeah,
They
Yeah.
include staff, right?
Maximum of 15.
yeah.
And it's required 2/3 of each member.
That's
Where
no,
the-
that's the day pack.
DayPack.
The day pack, we had that. We had 15 members. We actually.
So glad
had
you agree so
people-
we can move this agenda.
Yeah, we actually had 15. I helped the city establish
Do
that.
they meet, do you have quorum all the time? Oh,
They do. They meet regularly.
Well,
But what if a year from now you don't? Like I've
Yeah.
seen so many boards come and go in this city, and we've got an quality education committee that like never meets. Should we just disband that bad boy, or you know?
can we?
They've
can-
been
can we
active
change
since
the language?
2013.
Can we change the language? A
11.
maximum of 15?
Okay.
No,
The
just
maximum
change
of
it to
15
maximum
members.
of 15.
Huh?
Changing it to maximum of 15. I
Yeah,
think
but
will
what's the
accomplish
minimum?
Councilman
what's the
Brown.
if you have a maximum, you have to have a minimum. What if you have 3?
We're gonna, 2/3 will be able to,
I would suggest minimum 11, maximum 15. To support your,
okay, that's
yeah.
So this motion came from Councilman Bieneme or it came from you, Mayor?
No, I'm just making a friendly amendment so I can second it.
So Councilman Bieneme, you have a motion made as stated on the record, and may you please clarify your motion?
the motion is to, the members, minimum 11, maximum 15.
For
And
the
that,
day pack.
and that
And that's-
motion was seconded by Mayor Smith Joseph.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion was approved with a 5-0 vote. Any more amendments to Article 2?
Yes, yes, yes.
Article 2.
Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me.
Article 2, Section, yes, 701? Is that the design review?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Question, would this be the committee that approved the final, concept,
Hold on.
the concept review that we spoke about during our briefing, the site plan? Okay, my recommendation, and I know we had several discussion here, no? Okay, I'll wait. I'm on,
You talking about DRC? Yeah.
am I? Division 7 is here. Okay, so I know some members had some concerns because we talked about it where a building is popped up in our district and we don't know how it's gonna look or what's gonna happen. And I'm very frustrated with 99, what is it, a Dollar Tree or Dollar Store going on the 130, wherever it's going is bad. So in light of what Judy Brown and all these other residents, we need to be aware of what's going on within the city, especially within our district, because residents asking us, we don't know, we have to call them. So my recommendation is if that committee could, we as the council would make the final review as far as the site review committee. We had asked the attorney to draft legislation into that, but this will actually answer that requirement. Tanya, correct? This would actually require it if we change the language here. Yeah, because we just find out if they come here and present to us, this is what this is the concept plan, how it's gonna look.
So can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, sir.
So by virtue of what you asked, are you saying now you would like the deliberation of the Development Review Committee to come to the
Yes, to the
city council
council.
for approval? Or do you want
Absolutely.
to serve as the
No,
committee?
no. They come to us and we make the final, just like the other boards, they make the recommendation, yeah.
They
They
don't come
review it just
before us.
like these other committees, but we know how the thing gonna look in our district. Sidebar.
But we've been asking,
Yeah,
I've been
I know.
asking that for years.
Well, everybody been asking for years,
Can I
so
take
we
a
could
quick
do
caucus, sir?
Yes, go ahead. So, Mr. Attorney, so if I understand Councilman correctly, let me explain the way that I understand it. If there is a property that is zoned commercial, right? And then the property owner wants to put a dollar store, so we can say no. I mean, we can
No, this is
Well,
more about the design.
Design.
of the property. What
Yeah, well, the dollar store is a dollar store. I mean, you can make it in glass and brick or whatever. Hmm? Okay. Okay.
Guess what? You know what happened, Mr. Mayor? Perfect example. That Dollar Tree, their back is on facing the residents, devant Kai Wozla, and their back is on 7th Avenue. So they viennent là quitter ça. Qui en ça fait vivre? So on dit bah on va ne pas
Yeah.
Do you believe that they have the store?
Okay, Mr. Attorney, what's going on? Because we're not in recess, so we have to continue.
Because what you're doing is, what we were discussing, sir, is that you're basically turning the DRC into an advisory committee.
Yes.
Which means there's all sorts of changes, including the fact that the appeals would now, instead of going to the zoning appeal or the administrative, to the zoning appeal, it would end up going to the circuit court. So because you would all be making the final decision, it would take you to the circuit court, which is something we've gone away from in all the other boards that you've done in the city, so that you're not that applicants are not going to the circuit court. But that's what would happen if you change it to you being the final review
Okay,
authority.
but we asked you for this particular resolution way before, where we would have an idea of what's going on. The understanding of it was that this was something that other cities to stop these things, unless we are aware, we cannot be accountable for the residents and
We're
what's
not-
happening.
Sir, I'm sorry,
Sir.
we're not disagreeing with you.
Okay.
You can do that. We're
Okay.
just telling you there are other things we're going to have to change if you decide to do that. If you all decide
Well,
that's what you want to do, we'll do it. We
But
just
I
have to
think
decide what
everything
needs
we
to
do
change.
here, there's something else that has to be changed.
Right.
I mean, that's
something.
fine. We're not saying no.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying that. The other thing I need
Okay.
to, there's another point I need to clarify. The way this development review committee works now, they're not seeing any projects that are less than 5,000 square feet. So if it's less than 5,000 square feet, it's just being dealt with by the department. If it's over, then it goes to this committee. So you would, in essence, only be seeing the larger. You wouldn't be seeing every project. And I would tell you, functionally, you probably don't want to approve every single project.
Can I make a suggestion, perhaps? Because I've sort of felt blindsided by development that happens in my district, and I was like, "What?" That perhaps, rather than write new language, we ask the department to let council know when something is like, for instance, the Flanagans redo on Biscayne Boulevard looks spectacular, but I saw it at the first time everybody else did. Same with the new Publix on 127th Street. I'm waiting to see what it's going to look like. Maybe staff could just be proactive and say, council members, this is coming to your district.
So
we
what
added
we can
that.
do, I think maybe, and this will be something through the manager's office, we're getting all of these applications. For instance, I just recently spoke to you about a Family Dollar that's coming into your district recently.
Where? What $5 million?
Can we
You
put
and
a
I
moratorium on dollar stores?
Where? Which one?
The one on 135th.
Oh my God.
And,
6th Avenue?
yeah,
Oh, no.
7th Ave. That's 4th Avenue.
4th Avenue.
No,
sorry.
that's
Where
7th
is
Ave.
that?
Griffin.
What? You didn't tell me that.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't. When?
See?
Weeks ago.
No, we didn't talk about Downland
See?
Stockholm.
No.
We
You know-
closing. There's one that just closed on 125th in my
I know.
district,
I
and
know.
we are so happy. Why? I didn't talk. We didn't talk about that.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
we
See,
did.
Mr.
But-
135th and 4th.
I was trying to help.
Where?
I know.
On Griffin Boulevard at the corner.
What corner on Griffin
I
Boulevard?
where Walmart
In
was.
Silat?
Yeah.
You mean
Where Walmart
Memorial
was gonna be?
Griffin Boulevard.
Yeah.
No, we didn't discuss that.
It's,
No.
if I'm not mistaken, it's the site of where Walmart almost
Correct.
went.
Oh,
no,
my
you didn't
God.
discuss that with me. I don't know. No, we didn't.
Okay, guys.
Maybe we
Okay,
discussed it other people. I
guys.
don't know, but
Guys, let's go.
Well,
Don't ask
my
them.
point simply is this: what we can do is have an item added to the agenda that would, or either a month or weekly
What about
report
the
or
plan,
monthly
the
report.
plan review book?
Yeah,
the plan
this-
review. The plan need to
You
be
know-
reviewed by
Okay,
us.
can you make your amendment, Mr. Councilman? Just make your amendment, and then let's see if we
Yeah.
can get it seconded.
Okay, good.
Well,
No,
well,
but my amendment, I still stand behind it, and I would lower, because what you're saying is because there's a lot of work, I think we were elected to do the work. So I don't mind if it's 100
No,
thing.
you cannot see
No,
this
no,
simple
Mr.
thing.
Listen, no, listen, Councilman, that's you.
Okay,
But when I'm getting the phone calls and I have a store going into the biggest corridor in my area, and the back is facing 7th
Mr.
Avenue.
Councilman, can you make the amendment?
No, but he asked me to clarify, Mr.
Yeah.
Mayor. So my amendment is I do not mind that the council, which I've asked the attorney, and I wish they had told me no from the get-go, is, well, now the story
we're not
Why
changed.
don't you
Huh?
make your motion and let's
That,
make
my motion was to us as the council to be the
Final
reviewer
plan
of
review,
the
development review
design, just the design. We're not saying, just the design review board.
May
Yeah,
I make
these
may I make a suggestion that might be helpful, and you wouldn't have to change anything? Very simple, is that your DRC agendas are routed to each of you, and you have the same packet that the DRC members have, so you know what is they're going to be talking about. You'll know what's on tap, and then you don't have to change anything. But it's just now says, okay, your DRC agenda goes to each of you. Does that make sense to you? Because now you have the same packet that the DRC would have.
What recourse would the council have under that set of circumstances? If they were going to build the rear of the property toward the main artery and we didn't like
We
that,
didn't-
we'd have to show
And
up
staff
and just
allowed
go
it.
to the DRC meeting.
Or you could provide your comments to the city manager.
Yeah, okay, sorry, thank you very much for the
That was my amendment.
suggestion.
what
Yo,
it is.
My
Need to be
amendment is
reviewed.
for the council to be the final thing on the design review board.
I have a motion made by Councilman Desiree, as stated on the record. Do I have a second to that motion?
I wanna second it with a friendly amendment
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
for project over 5,000 square feet.
You want to lower it? Or you want
Over.
to keep it over?
Yeah, not those small ones.
Oh, okay.
The board is 5,000, right?
The board.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
those ones. Okay.
So you want to keep that?
Yeah.
Just so I don't have a problem with it. I just want to get clarified. So 5,000 is, can a Dollar Tree be less than 5,000? Can maybe not really?
It's small. That's
Yeah.
Kind of small.
Yeah.
Can we be safe and say 3,000?
No, 5,000
I
is
don't
just a small. It's
but-
put in tweed.
Yeah.
yeah, but
It's
now
together.
you referring to the design review, not the DRS, not the development review.
No, we
yeah.
can't. That legally, we can't tell them what
Yeah.
not to put. But if they're gonna put it, we want some palm trees. We want this. We want this. I
Green
want to make
space,
sure
yeah.
that we know how it's gonna look. We get nice rendering. At least, Council
I have two different numbers.
Galvin,
feet of
you know
setback.
who I don't know the
Yeah.
setback. That I make sure it's facing 7th Avenue.
3,000.
It's not the residents. Now this 7
So you
whatever store.
so you saying
Yeah.
that they cannot do a boutique dollar store,
If it's nice.
just like they do a boutique anything less than 5,000?
In comparison,
I'm just asking.
imagine a dollar store in Mocha Cafe. I don't think you would have one that small.
A dollar store.
Yeah.
I have one. The one on on 130 something street. How big is that? That can't be 5,000. In the corner of New Way.
No, it's five,
That-
yeah.
That's a small one. That can't be 5,000 square foot. Yeah, that's a Dollar General.
Yeah, that.
Dollar General. Well,
If
They are
if-
usually smaller.
they smaller.
Yeah, but
Councilman-
Councilman Morley, yeah.
Okay,
that's
give a
fine.
number. You
Councilman-
want it to be 3,000 or
5,000.
5,000?
Yeah.
Okay, 5,000.
No, 5,000.
Can we vote? Can we vote on this, please?
That's fine. I don't. Yeah. That's fine.
Okay, so
Yes.
we had the motion made by Councilman Desiree. That motion was seconded by Councilman Bieneme with a friendly amendment, which was accepted by Councilman Desiree, which was stated on the record. Did I do that right?
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
I didn't get what your
All oppo-
question was. Can you repeat the question? That was too confusing.
For the design
the
review
motion?
board to
Okay, so he's
to
gonna
report
collect.
to us. No, for the design review board to report to us for any project over 5,000 square feet.
It's not design review board.
It's not.
It's the development review committee.
I thought you
Yeah.
said- No,
Wait,
he's talking about the design review.
I'm reading it from the actual chapter and verse.
I
Yeah, yeah.
I
It-
said that, and then I asked the clarification, the concept and stuff. They told me, so I assumed design development was design.
No.
So
No.
Yes.
Two,
Yeah, he
no, they're
said-
two different boards.
No, we gotta get it right.
That's what I. We
That's
don't.
right.
That's what I'm saying.
So
Well,
you
I'm trying to-
so you're referring to the development.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So
Mr.
good,
Mayor.
so we good.
Mr. Mayor, if you will allow me, we're reading from the division is called Development Review Committee. It does deal with the design, which is what you were pointing at.
Got it.
We're adding to that City Council is the final approver for all projects over 5,000 square feet, which is what the motion was that you were considering.
Just to
Or
be
was on the
clear,
floor.
was that your motion, Councilman?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that motion was made by Councilman Desiree, as just read on the record by City Manager Larry Spring. That particular motion was seconded by Councilman Bieneme. Again, all in favor?
I
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
That particular motion was approved with a 4-1 vote.
Okay, we're still on Article 2. There is one more page left. The section that is left. Okay, we are still on membership. Okay, this is. So we're done with Article 2.
motion to approve Article 2 as amended.
Second.
Go ahead, Mr. Michael. Go ahead.
Motion to approve is amended.
Amended.
Because when we get to article,
I don't feel so bad, Councilman.
Right. So,
It's still the whole, yeah.
okay, so now I'm getting this verbatim from the city attorney. I'm gonna make I'm sorry. Who's gonna make the motion, by the way?
The Councilwoman made the motion, seconded by Vice Mayor.
Okay, may you please state your motion on the record, Councilwoman Keys? Shh, no, we have to get a clear record though for the
Yeah.
record. This is serious stuff. Because this is literally could be a
Councilwoman, can you restate the motion, please?
I made a motion
Yes.
to approve Article, or is it
Two.
Division 2?
Article 2.
2 as amended by this board.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys, as stated on the record. That motion was seconded by Councilman Vice Mayor Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 5-0 vote.
I thought it was supposed to be roll call, but okay. Now go ahead. The entire thing is over.
Yeah.
Article 3. We had Article 3. Councilwoman?
Really a glutton. Okay. Oh, okay. A simple one in section 3-207.
What's the page number?
Actually, I think staff removed it. 3-207 building permits, and it.
Can you give us the page number,
I'm sorry,
Councilwoman?
page 17.
Page 17.
Ms.
Easy.
Sajur, was this removed, paragraph A3? 3-207, page 17. It had to do with application for permits, by owner occupied.
Sorry.
Okay,
I believe it was recommended to be removed. That's
Okay.
3-207A3.
okay, so I'm not gonna touch that, cause we'll go back to staff recommendation, cause if it's not removed, I wanted to put in duplex. So I'm not, okay, certificate.
It's because of the owner-builder exemption.
Did you want duplex to be there, you said, or not?
I don't care, if they wanna take it out, it's fine.
Okay, because it was stricken.
So I'm not gonna go there. I just have a point that I noticed, that we have a 2-0, on one of the recommendations of staff that you made, you've got, it looks like you've got 3-209, then you have a section 3-208, and 210, and then you added a 209 or something. Just check the numbering of that, please. It looked, because there was something added by staff, and there was like another 208, so you would have had two 208s, so.
Okay.
Let me, okay,
Yes, there was a misnumbering, yes.
okay, so I was a little confused, the certificate.
Yeah, you went from 209 to 210, and then you went back to 209, then 210 again. So you have to renumber those. We're
Oh,
still on
okay, so on
Article
page-
3.
I don't think we have to take a motion. I think there were a lot of typos in here, and I don't know if you fixed it, but on page 85, is name streets, Northwest 151st Street being the southernmost boundary of the city. Did you fix that? And then also, again, you did that. So I don't think that was a motion.
Right, it's on our scrivener's list.
Okay, I didn't catch that. And I don't have anything else.
She's on page 85.
I don't have anything else in Article 3.
Yeah, still Article 3.
Yeah, I'm good. No more.
So you good with 3. Vice Mayor, do you have any?
Yes. Section 3, page 21, has to do with reoccupancy inspections. I was in the room in 1989 when this city adopted the reoccupancy rules. Wasn't on the council yet, but I was in the room. At that point, it was unequivocally stated that the reoccupancy was just to make sure that there were not a house that had been subdivided. It was just for reoccupancy issues. Over the years, I feel like we've sort of co-opted our reoccupancy inspections to be whatever the code officer happens to see when they come in to do this. So it's almost like you're inviting Dracula into the house, and then Dracula can write a ticket for whatever they want to. I need a little bit of clarification. What does our page 21 is where I am, page 21 on section 3. How do we enforce or interpret our reoccupancy inspections under these new rules? Okay. Right, I didn't see anything changed, but now I have to go back to 1989. Oh, hey, John Della Gloria. I think you were in the room that night, too.
So what?
Okay.
I'd have to. I hate
Okay.
to say this because it's going to sound like a real bad excuse. Our building director's not here. I need to clarify what the functional inspection does.
Okay.
I do agree with you that I do believe when they go in, they're looking for other additional illegal units, but they do cite other things.
If they were to
That's-
see something
right.
health and safety, I
Right.
could maybe give you that. But
or
they're
work,
doing
work that was not done with a permit. That
well.
type
No,
of
but
thing.
now you're open the Pandora's
Correct,
box,
correct.
and,
That's
and
why I said I know
and
functionally
part of
they
the
are doing
part of the community's hesitation at adopting a reoccupancy ordinance at the time, and it was incredibly divisive and incredibly controversial, was that they didn't want code people now just traipsing through their house and writing a ticket on whatever they might see. So it was specifically said at the time it was adopted, no, don't worry, this will only be applied to houses which might have been subdivided. And over the years, it's been almost 30 years now, I think we've sort of taken, I can't think of the right word. It's like the other word tonight. I
Sir,
couldn't
for
think
the purposes of the LDRs, I'm looking at the section you're talking about. There are limited changes. They look like more just
No
changing it
changes,
for
yeah.
function. I mean, they changed some names of the building and service department. So I understand what you're saying, but for the purpose of what we're doing tonight, I mean, the only change you can make tonight is either
No, then I have no further questions, as you then clarified.
I will look at it.
Okay, Councilman Bienemy? No, nothing? All right, then I'll make a motion to approve Article 3.
Second.
I have a motion made by Mayor Smith Joseph to approve Article 3 as is. That motion was seconded by Vice Mayor Galvin. Oh, shit. We gotta get his vote, too. All in favor?
Aye.
So I have to get Alex's votes.
Get it when he comes back.
Good idea. Okay, so, right, so
All again.
item was approved with a 4-0 vote. And when Councilman Desmond come back, well, yeah. Okay.
Okay, now we're on Article 4, which starts, Article 4 starts on page, oh my God. They go back numbering again. Now they go back to, huh? Okay,
It ends on 139. So it'll be right after page 139.
okay, so after one, so it would be 140, I mean, 140, but it's page 1,
Is it still called Article
okay?
4? Okay.
It would be like 140, but started with 1. That's Article 4.
do we have a vote?
Councilwoman, we back to you again.
Do we have a vote?
Yeah, we going from,
Okay. Okay. I think four is a bad one. 4 is a bad one.
hey, bad
Okay,
baby.
Mayor, may I get his vote now?
Yes,
before
go
we
ahead.
move on? Okay, at this time, we're going to go ahead and complete the vote for Article 3. Councilman Desiree, Mayor Joseph made a motion to approve Article 3 as is. That motion was seconded by Vice Mayor Galvin. How do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Item passes with a 5-0 vote. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, this is a concept that I'm not gonna go through. I think we need to discuss. I believe it was the intention when we first talked about lowering the size of the units. We were gonna go down to 550 only in the urban core of the NRO. Somehow it got written incorrectly, and somehow the planning commission, when they were done, left it at 550 square foot units throughout, in multifamily, throughout the city, and also 500 square foot units in the NRO, up to 20%. I would like to recommend that we amend the size of the units in the NRO only with like a 20%, whether you do 500 or 550, but in the NRO where we are looking to do urban development, not out in the planned corridors, not in the outskirts of the city. So that's what I'm recommending. So I'm just looking for discussion on how the rest of the council feels on this.
I don't mind it as is. I think miniature living is sort of the wave of the future. There was a big article in the Miami Herald, I think it was recently, about smaller units and millennials moving into smaller units. They're not able to afford a house with the picket fence in the yard and all that, but they want to have something stylish and something smaller. I think I'm okay with it as it is.
And also, I was going to. There was an exception for university, except for college university dormitories. I was going to recommend that we also include, if we don't make it 550s throughout, that we also include senior housing 55 and older. To go with because the seniors do not need the extra space. They're downsizing. So for school dormitories or senior housing, we could go with the smaller size.
That would be, I would consider that, Councilwoman Keys, but I do like the the plan as is currently, but now that you mentioned the seniors, that,
No, you're talking about the proposed
The
plan by the
proposed-
planning commission.
As it is now, that would include seniors.
oh,
It would include anybody and everybody.
oh, okay.
You want that throughout the city? You want 550
No.
square foot units throughout the city? Because that's the way it reads.
Yeah,
that's
I don't see
fine.
any point.
So,
We have to view the cost of construction also.
so that means you can have a 1 or a 2 bedroom, and you're gonna have 550, you're gonna have these buildings going all over, very
you can-
small.
You're gonna have
really
a better
small units.
quality.
Small buildings, or you say small
Small
units?
units.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
throughout.
better quality
What makes it better quality?
because the
It
cost of
doesn't say high
construction.
quality. It doesn't say high quality 550.
She made a motion.
But so-
Did
I
it,
did
was
make a
there a
motion.
second?
Discussion?
No, there's no
Just
motion?
discussing.
We're just
I move it for
discussing.
discussion.
Oh, you moved, you,
Yeah, she was just discussion.
Oh,
I thought we were just going as motions,
wanted-
as amendments. Hmm?
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion then.
Yeah.
That we change the language in this, except for college, university dormitories, and senior housing, greater than 55, and leave the square footage at 750 feet.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys, as stated on the record. Do I have a second to her motion? Item fails for a lack of second. No second.
Scott, no, that's not-
Any more amendments, Mayor, to Article 4?
Article 4, Vice Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Oh.
I think this is where it would come in. Somebody from the community referenced that Spotmaster would be able to come back under the new LDRs. And I didn't know if that might have been considered a reference to the half-acre PUD. And I didn't know if that question had been asked somewhere else along the way. I can't ask the resident to come back to the microphone, so I was looking to see, is there something in here that changes what we allow, that would now allow a Spotmaster-like business to come back into a new zoning?
No, Mr. Vice Mayor, not in the actual LDR document. I think what he was referring to is your zoning map. So the zoning map along that corridor has an R2 zoning classification, but the comprehensive plan is actually industrial. So since 2007, the zoning map should have been changed to make it consistent with the comprehensive plan. So what's happening now, you'll notice on the map that there's gray instead of yellow, making it consistent with the comp plan.
So, to state again on the record, can a Spotmaster-like business now get free ability to come back into an area where it's been prohibited up until tonight?
In industrial, yes. For the industrial district, yes.
Okay, and in that area where Spotmaster used to be on 125th Street, are you considering that industrial?
That's commercial, so that area they can't at all.
Okay.
That's actually C3.
So Spotmaster, and sorry, I'm still using the name of the business, but no way to really split that. If they want to open out on 151st Street in the industrial area, by the railroad tracks, that type of industrial use would be allowed in the industrial area.
Yes.
But it would not be allowed in a commercial setting
Commercial C3,
outside of
they
the
can't.
industrial area.
Correct.
Okay.
It's not permitted in the list.
But behind it, they could.
Behind what they could.
The adjoining property, they can.
Please state that again. I'm confused as to
Okay.
what you're saying.
Because on that street, they're changing it to industrial.
Which street are you changing to industrial?
Street,
So-
that's what Dr. Medina's talking about.
Again, so I'll restate it again. Since 2007, that street has been designated industrial. What's happening through industrial, if you look at the future land use map, it's gray. What's happening tonight is that the zoning map is being amended to make it consistent with what it's been since 2007, which is M1.
And can then, with the new designation, can Spotmaster come back to 125th Street where it was up until just a few days ago?
Can I try? Can I try?
Okay,
Okay, so we're talking about two different things. The property where Spotmasters is on right now is zoned commercial.
Correct.
It remains commercial.
Right.
The properties south of where Spotmasters was always on our future land use plan as industrial.
Right.
But they were on the
Zoning
zoning map as R2.
Okay.
Correct.
So all they're doing now is making the two documents match. So it will be industrial, and yes, an industrial use could go into that property, but not the Spot Master property, the property south of Spot Master.
Why would we want to do that? Because that is surrounded by residential areas.
That's not, understand, that's not,
Guys,
we're not,
please, please, please.
we're not doing that tonight. That was done when you,
Since
2007, when you approved the
Correct.
comp plan.
But nobody, in 2007, nobody had thought about what Spotmaster could grow
I
into.
understand.
Now we realize what it could have grown into,
So
and why
that would
would we?
require a comp plan amendment, but that's not what we're doing tonight. So I don't want anyone to think tonight we're allowing this to become industrial. It was always industrial. It was always industrial on the future land use plan. All we're doing is making the document match. If that problem existed back in 2007, there is a solution to it. It's not tonight.
Okay. By way of my asking now, at the very next opportunity, please bring that comp plan back to us for an amendment to.
Part of the ability to do that rests on us passing these LDRs tonight.
But if you don't get something out there, I might vote it. I might vote this whole
Well, we
bad
gotta-
boy down because
I
it's not
understand.
there. Like
We absolutely get it, but we got to get past the LDRs before we can even go back and do comp plan amendments.
Got it.
You understand?
Okay, and here's what I'm gonna do. And I still might vote this down anyway. But if I vote yes, it's gonna be contingent upon me being on the majority side, so that if this comp plan isn't brought back to us at the very first possible opportunity, first meeting in July, whatever that might be, I'll ask that it be reconsidered, and I'll change my vote to kill your LDRs. I get what you're saying to me, but guys, please, 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 we're gonna be here a long time. But you follow what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to just say, okay, well, we're gonna do this in the future, and then here we are 3 years later, and so please.
I think staff gets it.
So noted.
Well, I'm gonna be clear with you, because I'm about expectations, and it's gonna be on my shoulders, hopefully. That's a process. You went through the comprehensive plan process, and you know it takes time.
Right.
So the next available process is not gonna be the next month, but we will initiate the process
Right.
the next month. Just as long as you're aware of that.
So that there's not dead space where
Correct.
somebody swoops back in and
Correct.
says, zoned industrial, comp plan industrial,
I got you.
we're building industrial.
I'm just managing your expectation that
Sure,
don't expect a ordinance the next month. We have to go through the process.
Right, no, I expect, I just.
Whatever.
Then my next question is procedural. Why would you take a PUD from 2 acres all the way down to 1.5, excuse me, to 0.5 acres? Why wouldn't you take it down to 1.5 or to 1 acre?
That's a planning
That's a
commission
planning commission recommendation.
recommendation, not this.
Why did they recommend that?
I believe it had to do with parcel availability size, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe that's what that discussion came out of, sir.
As I look at it,
That's not, okay.
as I look at it, well, and Section 7 has something similar. I feel was like written for a specific property in mind.
What page are you on, sir?
The 0.5. Gosh, first you want me to go by section. Now I got to go by page.
Well, if you just tell me the section, either one, sir, either one, I'll
se-
find it.
in section 4, the 0.5 acre PUD.
That's section 4 dash, no dash, that's section 4 dash 302, capital letter B, 2, I believe, right? Yeah,
What page is that?
Page 22.
that would be page 20, yeah.
It's written as 2 acres.
So, is staff asking us to, excuse me, is staff asking us to approve 2 acres or the 0.5 acres that the planning commission has said? Those are vastly different.
Staff is asking to leave it at 2 acres. That's what's here.
Okay.
We did not change it as staff. Planning commission has made that
And
recommendation
since
to you.
staff was in the room when planning commission made that recommendation, can
Yes, sir.
somebody shed a little bit more light onto why they wanted to make such a vast drop?
Planning commission member can.
Staff is here,
But then
staff is
if
here.
we,
Planning
okay.
commission.
The planner recommended.
But was Tanya not here? Nixon not here? Was somebody here?
Okay, Mr. H, you are recognized. He is a member.
Thank
Well,
you, Mayor.
Did you want staff or commission?
I wanted staff. Staff's getting a high salary, but if everybody's got
Well,
rocks in their pants,
first
they
of all,
can't stay up.
staff recommended yes on it. I'm looking at it. You have the same copy?
Staff is saying tonight 2, and you guys said 0.5. Why the vast difference?
Because there were several pieces of land over like on Dixie Highway, the theater, Then you go across the street, you have I think the auto dealership over there that have been abandoned. And if you put all of these together, it's less than 2 acres, but we could develop it and have some a meaningful growth within the city. And a lot of times developers are being hindered because they have to have 2 acres. They can't get a half of an acre. That theater's been sitting abandoned for I don't know how long. And you go across the street to the auto dealer, or up the street there's I think there's the Goodyear's on one side. There's a tire dealership right next to it. The developer could come in and develop that whole thing. But you got to have 2 acres, and we just don't have it. In fact, Mr. Burns can even elaborate a little bit more on that, because it was one of the things that the public brought up.
It's okay.
And now, may I ask if Ms. Chujur can
So
answer that?
if I can respond, just to take you back a little, back in 2007, it was actually at 6 acres. And at that time, the recommendation was to reduce it to 2 acres for minimum size for the PD development. Then at the last Planning Commission meeting, the request from the Planning Commission was to reduce it to 0.5 because they felt like there wasn't adequate lots of that size throughout the city to accommodate the 2 acre minimum size. So they voted on it, and that was unanimous decision of the Planning Commission. From our experience, 2 acres is pretty much the average size of what you would see for a PD development. We haven't analyzed the 0.5. So it was a recommendation that came forward from the Planning Commission, but it wasn't based on staff analysis, is pretty much the clarification I
I'll
wanted
vote
to offer.
yes tonight in hopes you can do a little bit of comparison between now and second reading. You know, are there other cities that have a 0.5 PUD, you know, that kind of thing?
You want to make a motion?
No, because
It's the same thing, right?
oh, you're
It's not the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing. I'm asking for a motion.
I'll leave it as is to give you the opportunity to do the research, and then it will be my intent to perhaps bring that down to a 1 or a 0.5, depending on what you're able to tell us. I'd like to have some.
If I can add another element, if you recall the overlay districts that the council added along 6th Avenue, Dixie, 125th Street, also Biscayne Boulevard, mixed use is allowed as of right in those districts. So you have quite an abundance of opportunity to provide mixed use development throughout the city. And it doesn't have that minimum lot size requirement that you would have in the PD. So we felt like the market had sufficient opportunities to create mixed use along all the commercial corridors, really, because of what you did last year in the comp plan amendment.
To be continued then, and that was my only question on section 4. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On that, I'll take a bite at this because, of course, you know, like it was mentioned by Mr. Each, West Dixie Highway is you're looking at it. It's almost very blighted.